Hey guys, it's Katt Dee, and welcome to October. I cannot believe it is almost halfway through October already. It is the 8th of October, and I haven't put up a top 5 Friday, I think, in the last 2 Fridays, but I wanted to do something a little bit different. So I'm going to typically do a TBR, which is a to be read, on this channel from now on. But since it's October, I wanted to be a to be read and to be watched. So I'm going to be telling you in the month of October the 5 movies that I really want to watch and the 5 books that I really want to get to. So I'm going to start with the books. Yeah, let's get right into it. So for the first book that I want to get to is actually going to be a reread for me, but it's the perfect book for October. And that is The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. Now, the heartbreaking part about this book is that it is literally the only book that Erin Morgenstern has written. Now, I think that she's also compiled, I think, poetry or short stories or something, but this is like the only novel that she has come out with, and it is in my top 5 favorite books of all time. So if you don't know what The Night Circus is about, it's basically about this circus that shows up out of nowhere with no warning nor anything. It's literally, and it's only open at night, and it's very mysterious and eerie. The whole setting of the book is creepy and amazing, and I mean, you really feel like you're there when you're reading it. And the premise of the book is basically not just about this circus that shows up out of nowhere. It's basically about these two dueling magicians. So it's a duel between a girl named Celia and a guy named Marco, and they've been training since childhood. And basically, it's a competition between, I forgot the gentleman's name, but this one person has Celia as like a magician apprentice, and this other person has Marco as a magician apprentice. It's been years since I've read it. And eventually, I mean, they don't know who each other is, but they know of each other, and obviously they know that it's eventually going to be a magician's battle between them two. And yeah, I mean, I can't tell you much more than that. It's amazing. The world, the circus. So I read the book for the first time, and then after I read the book, I listened to the audiobook. Now, if you are not a reader and just a strict audiobook listener, then listen to this book. The gentleman who narrates this book for audiobook is the perfect narrator. I could listen to this book on audiobook like every October. Like, it is a great book. I can't wait to get back into the world and back into Celia and Marco's story. The next book is also another reread, but I feel like because it's like the fandom is trending so hard right now. I read the book, I want to say 2 years ago, and it's the first time I read it, and it's a massive book. But maybe I'll listen to it on audio this time, since I've already actually read the physical book. But that is Stephen King's It. What a perfect book for October. And I know I'm already halfway through, but if I feel like if I listen to it in audio, maybe on 1.5 speed, that I'll be able to kind of like get through it. And I haven't listened to it on audio before. So I think it would be really interesting to kind of like hear it instead of just reading it. And when I was reading the actual book, there were parts of it that I was like, kind of skimming through. Parts about a turtle. I love the book. I think I gave the book 5 out of 5 stars, but obviously with any book that's that size, there are parts of that book that you're just like, I mean, you're reading, but it's like you're not absorbing everything because you're just reading so much. So if I listen to it, maybe I'll find some things that I didn't notice the first time around. All right, so the third book is actually a book that I've never read before, and I'm super excited because I absolutely love the movie. But this book is on like the 39 creepiest books to read list, somewhere I found on Google. I don't know. There's a million lists. I'm sure you guys know I'm a list person. But that is Coraline, and that's by Neil Gaiman. Now, I believe that this book was initially like a middle grade or a young adult book. It's not like technically an adult book, I don't think. But it is on a list that it's the 39 creepiest like stories, and I can see that. The movie itself, I feel like it's not even for kids. but I love it. And since, you know, her Funko Pops just came out, and, you know, people are like on the Coraline bandwagon right now, and even though I was on the Coraline bandwagon long ago, I feel like it's a good time to read the book and maybe review it and dive more into that world that I know and love. The fourth book is actually kind of a different kind of scary. The book is called You, and it's by Caroline Kepnes. And what I know about this is basically about a serial killer who's stalking his victims, but it's in the perspective of the serial killer. That is all I know about this book. I know that there's a sequel to it. But yeah, I have the physical book. I have the audiobook. I feel like this is one I'm going to have to read the physical book of. I don't think that I'm not going to audiobook this one. I think I'm going to physically read this book so I can like absorb and read. And if I get freaked out, I can turn the lights on. But yeah, so I'm looking forward to that one. The last book is a book that I do not own, but I'm hoping to pick up because it is on a ton of lists of like the scariest book. They've made movies about this. I feel like they've made this movie like 15 times, but it is Hell House. And I don't really know the premise of it. I feel like I've watched several movies like adapted from this. You know, basically it's about... I'm assuming it's about some kind of house that's haunted, or there's some kind of evil spirit within a house, but I'm just going to jump right into it. I feel like it's one of the first ones that I need to pick up, and yeah. So those are going to be the top 5 books that I want to get to in October. Not Halloween related. I also want to get through the first 6 books. I think it's 6 books of the Throne of Glass series, and I'm actually rereading Throne of Glass right now, and that's by Sarah J. Maas. Completely un-Halloween related, but I've read the first one like 17 times, more like 3, and I liked it, and I want to continue, but I feel like I always have to read the first one before I can continue on because I always forget what happens. So I'm reading that book currently, as well as Children of Blood and Bone by Tomi Adeyemi, and Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. So I have a lot of books to read. I'm not on a very fast start this month. I did read 11 books last month, so I think that I just took a break at the first part of the week, the first week in October, so now I'm ready to like really dive in and get some reading done. All right, so let's get on to the movies that I definitely want to watch in the month of October. Now, last year I completely failed you guys. I said I was going to do 31 movies in 31 nights, and oh my gosh, that just, unless you pre-record and plan that out and pre-film, for you guys that are on YouTube that film every day and edit every day and put stuff out that's quality content, my hats are off to you, because I found like towards the end of it that my editing was getting spotty. I wasn't rewatching my videos. I didn't finish. And obviously I'm not going to be able to do it this year because it's already the 8th of October. But I feel like maybe it's something that I can work towards doing next year, but start like in August to like watch a couple, edit a couple, and just make sure that I have everything planned out for 31 movies in 31 nights. Or maybe I'll do 31 movies in 31 nights for a different month that's just not horror related. I don't know. But it's definitely something that I would love to do. It's just something that before I make a promise to you guys, maybe I should have a schedule and maybe I should have that all laid out. So, rambling. Okay, so the movies that I do want to get to now, these are by far not my favorite horror movies. I mean, some are definitely on my favorite lists. They're just ones that I feel like are just fitting to watch this time of year. For no particular reason. They're ones that are like, I guess they always feel current. I feel like every time I put them on, they don't feel like they've aged very much. I like the villains in most of these, or the antagonists. And so let's just get right into this. So last year, during my 31 movies in 31 nights, I watched this movie that quickly became one of my all-time favorite horror movies. And it is absolutely by far my favorite zombie movie of all time, and that is Train to Busan. Now, Train to Busan is a foreign film, And it basically, the premise of it is these parents are split up, and this young girl really wants to visit her mother. And the dad doesn't, the dad works too much, and he doesn't pay attention to, doesn't really pay attention to his child. She begs her workaholic father to go see her mother, and he finally decides, okay, you can go see your mother, but I'm going to ride the train with you. So basically, they get on this train, and they're going to see her mother, and then all hell breaks loose. And I can't tell you any more than that, but it is a heart-wrenching. You are sitting there, it is one of the most emotion-evoking horror movies that I've seen in such a long time. I loved it. It was foreign. I don't care. I want to watch it again. The ending is heartbreaking. It's all heartbreaking. It shows like good parts of humanity. It shows bad parts of humanity. I can't say anything else. I don't know if you are a horror movie fan or a zombie fan, or even if you're not, check out this movie. It is probably the one that I most highly recommend on this list if you have not seen it. The next one is The Ring. Now I know this is not everybody's cup of tea, but I love this movie, specifically the first one. I have never seen the initial one, which The Ring was a remake of a foreign film called Ring You, or Ring You. I think that's how you pronounce it. I'm not sure. And maybe I should watch the foreign one. But I feel like the first one was so incredibly well acted and portrayed that it scared the ever living crud out of me. I swear, like, if a movie can like make me like want to turn on the lights, then it's a really good horror movie in my opinion. And you guys already probably know what The Ring is about, but if you don't, it's basically about this videotape that kills people. And it's not really a videotape. I'm not going to give you much more than that, but after you watch this videotape, you die in 7 days, and throughout this 7 days, things start happening to you, and they're trying to figure out how not to die. So that's basically the premise of The Ring. And the Samara, who's like the main antagonist in the movie, is creepy as all hell. Like, I swear, like when they cast that girl, man, perfect. All right, so the next one, since I said that we should read the book, we should watch the movie, and that is It. Now, I feel like in order to do this justice, you should start with the miniseries and watch the miniseries, and then go ahead and watch the movie that they made. I loved the movie. I was really worried that Skarsgård wasn't going to do an amazing job, and he did an amazing job. Now, I don't think anyone is as creepy as Tim Curry. I think Tim Curry was an amazing Pennywise, but Skarsgård did a good job. So completely different. The movie, in my opinion, followed more of the book. It was more, in my opinion, it was more vulgar. You got a lot more out of a shorter amount of time. I feel like the miniseries kind of drug on. I feel like you really got to know the characters in the movie. But with that being said, obviously I loved the miniseries, and I was super afraid when they said that they were going to make the movie, but I'm glad that they did. Okay, so the next one, and it wouldn't be me if this wasn't on my list, but it is The Nightmare on Elm Street. And you guys thought I was going to say The Nightmare Before Christmas, right? But no, I'll watch that all the time. That doesn't even need to be on the list. It's on repeat. But this is The Nightmare on Elm Street. I do love number 3 the best, but I feel like during October, you should really watch the first one, the one that set the tone for all of them, and that is just the original Nightmare on Elm Street. I believe it came out like in 1984, and it's still scary as all heck. I mean, think about it. Freddy Krueger as a villain is one of the scariest concepts that have ever been created. I mean, this thing can kill you. He can kill you while you're sleeping. You have absolutely no control, and you need to sleep to live. So to me, by far one of the best horror genre movies. He is my favorite horror villain ever, and still so far. Like, obviously I collect Freddy Krueger and Nightmare on Elm Street. merchandise. But yeah, definitely on my to watch list. I think that's 5. Let's see. That's It, Train to Busan, The Ring. What else did I say? Nightmare on Elm Street. I'll give you one more. If that wasn't a 5, I'll give you one more. Let's say Poltergeist. Oh my gosh. We're talking about creepy like antagonists. Have you guys seen Kane and Poltergeist? Have you seen that creepy old guy that scares the crap out of me even now? I feel like if I saw him walking down the road, I would run into my house and I would lock my door. And it's not like it's not that I'm trying to judge people by the way that they look, but that could be creepy. I mean, seriously, he scares the crap out of me. If you guys don't know what Poltergeist is about, it's basically about a poltergeist, and it's about a poltergeist that is specifically after this particular family, and in particular, this young girl named Carol Ann. And it starts in a house that they built, and I think the house is on some kind of Indian graveyard plot. But yeah, so those are the movies and the books that I would like to read and watch in October. Please let me know what you guys are watching and reading down below. Give this video a thumbs up, guys. I'm Katt Dee. Bye.